Hello, hello everyone, Chris here, and it's been a while, and we're back to Alter the Future of my map. This is episode 8. In the last episode, we saw the sea in Ovets and Mark. We're gonna fight against the British war, which contain the United States, Miko, Cats, Coleman, Salus, Israel, Alone, Italy, which actually switched sides. Sadisha, and then I see the peace tree of this entire city. And boy, if I would not be lying, it will be harsh. And there is the treaty. Oh my. Like, let's start with the easiest, the credit cards. Nothing changed significantly, at least for North America, but South America, Sean Diana, this area that previously belonged to Sean, is transferred over to Prison Cats because before there was actually a prejudice of Legion at the border here. The prejudice decided to let Prison Cats exit since they did heavily fought on this front. The Shawnees ran on the fence and couldn't Prison Cats in the war. The Prison Cats struggled a little, but while they did well, nothing changed in North America though. In Asia, we saw easily taken out of Devon. We saw trees on Lincoln Land, mainly in this area. They wanted even more. Well, because the city called Hoensan, calling for deep when if Korea allows carrying troops to march in to how was that even possible? If they allow them to march through the land to sneak attack on Devon, they will be awarded this entire region. No, this is literally North Devon's most populated region. She accepted in. She got all that. You don't have it. It wasn't a war. But due to the city calling the Catalan president over, and if they have these relics in him against the Briannics, the Scottish, and the CEU, they would gain a region upon of Clayton. Back to these treaties, the Danes would be occupied by the United States. Brianna would be finally annexed into Greece for the first time in 12 years. North Devon is just a shell of itself, and of course it sounds like communist government, but literally just down to just this little muscle-looking shape. I have no idea why he looks like that. It finally see you. I forgot to erase some borders, and there we go. In Syrup, Poland and Quran mainly gained the most land actually shortly after this war. Quran gained this, which isn't much, but Poland gained parts of Andrew, which I think is this region. They also gained parts of Leighton. CEU in most of the red lines was stated. Of course, wine and meat aren't affected. Then annoyingly done. I don't know what to name this thing. But is annoying. No, it's back to where it was mostly before. It's back to what it was before. But in Carolina is actually where it changed. Camden, if you're watching this, nope. I would take the southern region alongside the puppet of Carolina. Sean technically lost the war, but technically did surrender peacefully. Unlike Brianna again, which surrendered harsh, which didn't surrender. But for Sean, they didn't have any choice since the capital of the CU was Berlin before the war. It was used to be Shauna City, but Andrew forced a move to Berlin. So I mean, Miko, because that had some empathy because they were technically forced to join the opposite side. So that's why they only lost Shadiana and nothing else. And before we end the history portion of this episode, let's look at the Alliance map. Oh my. Oh god. Let's do this again. And here's the Alliance map. And the first one has pretty much total dominance over Silesia. Obviously, they have full control of the Crackers. If you look here, they literally have a chain between Sandesia, Philippines, and the control Martel, and Catalea. I really noticed. This was on the red team before. Why the blue team? Well, let me give you a bit of some history. When the war started, they invaded Italy to try to set up a puppet government. But Italy wanted to get an ally called Nuclear City in Cataco, asking for aid. They did actually get aid from Sandesia and Alexander. Both were able to help her out in the war against Devon. Despite Italy fell, Israel did evacuate to Sandesia, which actually became kind of like the United Kingdom in a way. But besides that, Paran was invaded by Britain alongside Belarus and Poland, which I don't know what Poland even got. They were like, oh yeah, this region here. The EU also invaded Poland, but no Shawani troops were involved because the areas here was just too focused on the Crackers. But however, the Shawani troops, the Cataco troops didn't really want the fight, so the Shawanis peacefully surrendered Chandiana to Christian Cats. And the reason why he joined is because they were just since when I also had my Kellys. I needed something that made here. I needed a distraction for the Scottish troops in here. So I went and attacked the Chinese and the Swedish to take over them and set up like a temporary government until the CU was fully down and launched all day. I was also invaded through I was invading through K and the Lina. This kind of sets up for a new world order. And this needs brand new students and many new nations. So with the map changed, what is this map gonna do? Well, the Crimson Sword is almighty and mostly unstoppable. Where the students they mainly focus in on game relations and they forgot about those what was it? Switch of government for many of the nations that they occupied. Whatever. I did think about that thing. So I copied it down Cayman, I copied it down Atlanta, and I occupied but the Philippines. It was kind of weird now in this region, so in this region here, Devon, the East Mountains region. So basically, most of the fantasies laid in Revelations. So let's start on the first actual, war after the global world order. This may seem strange, but all young red. But this is gonna be a revolution. Whatever. So this would be on the side revolution. It started here in the century. It will start spreading across the nations, the Grecian Union, the Snail Union, and Portugal. However, this revolt wouldn't spread as much into Sundance if this region only contained this. So, what actually developed here, this area contains so many more sightings. This area would fall. However, this one would actually be able to resist. It would actually encircle a few Chinese troops in this region. It would push back, somewhat cutting this off. This one just hit a bottom being just not pushing them back. But the Chinese weren't done yet. It would push down, escalate, and suddenly 14,000 troops. At this point, the Grecian Union would. This was the Snail Union would be now so furious. They would start massing, taking out 4 million Chinese people. However, something bad's gonna happen to the Snail Union. A Valentine revolt, or a John revolt in the south, backed by the Creditor Sword, as counterweight to the Chinese. At this point, the Chinese would just have to At this point, the war had lasted around 4 months. John would just push up, making the entirety of the Snail Union fall. This nation will be able to push into the area. Another revolt began for Louis. Then after this revolt, we actually would have the surrender. We have the fall of the Snail Union. And this nation would decide, these two would decide, you know what, we're done. We want to end the fight, and the peace treaty to end the fight will commence. And here's the treaty for the Cyanide Revolution, and we have the dissolution of the Snail Union. This team did actually give up the land they need for the Chinese. There's also a land here. The Snail Union is expanded between Louis, John, and Saya. This revolution caused a major threat to the United States security in personal space since it's literally this close to Kristen Katz. Kristen Katz is currently both in the Union, kind of like a union, known as the CACCU, the Kristen Katz Union. In this union, not being invited, literally just this close. So they would ask those two natives of John and Louis. If they join, they get and Louis and John would more likely accept probably due to the very good relations with the United States. It was probably because he's just let it go fall. Despite not really knowing, because people also joined just to make sure they. I don't know why, but now we have an epic cave side besides not just contained in this region. Like what I said, like science just is now just contained from the state. This would actually be able to flow through with the Pacific Islands of Mariana, Philippines, Tunisia, and Alexander. Chronic and Cuba will also support President blockade, preventing the Chinese from trading with any other allies, if ever. Here's the before, a mess, and after. Before, after. Yeah, that's a big revolution right there. I just noticed I don't have barely did anything. Also did awesome. Alright guys, I'm sorry this video is short, but I'm gonna have to go eat lunch. And I'm gonna see you in the next episode of Alternative Future of My Map.